Hello, it's Monday night. It can only be one thing. It's Skype Goldbridge on the United stand. We will be taking your Skype calls very, very soon, as always on a Monday. But first of all, let's get the latest Manchester United news, as we always do. Asensio from Real Madrid is open to a move to Manchester United. I nearly fell off my chair when I read it as well. Why would one of the best young players in the world want to leave the best team in the world to come and play for Jose Mourinho at Manchester United? Well, it's out there. I don't necessarily believe anything to do with it, but apparently he wants more game time at Real Madrid, and he's going to have showdown talks with Zinedine Zidane, and I'm sure Zinedine Zidane has got quite a big brain in between his ears and will assure him that he's the future of Real Madrid, because he pretty much is. I'd be stunned if he was allowed to leave, and of course Manchester United probably would be pushing to be at the front of the queue, with amongst other teams Manchester City, PSG, Bayern Munich and a few others, maybe even Barcelona actually. But yeah, Asensio to Manchester United, lazy journalism I would say, but it is out there, it is out there. I mean, Durrani is laughing as much as I am really. Should we sack Mourinho, says GTA. Don't beat about the bush. Maybe you want to call in. It's Skype Goldbridge, all one word. And but just to give you a few ideas of what you might want to talk about tonight, because we always try to give you a few topics. How's about Manchester United fans' plea to Jose Mourinho? What is your personal plea to Jose Mourinho in relation to what do you think he needs to change? Some people think he's too negative. Some people think he's picking the wrong players. Some people think he needs to be more demanding of the board to get the right players in. Some people are pleading that he won't give people like Fellaini and Jones a new contract. Maybe you want to come on tonight and tell us what your personal plea to Jose Mourinho would be. But let's have a look at the latest Manchester United news. You can download this. This is on the One Football app, as you can see on your screen. It's free to download on Apple and Android. Do download it. But this is the one that caught my eye seconds before I came online, actually. Time frame put on Paul Pogba's return to injury. I mean, I don't know this myself, so let's read it together. Manchester United Football Club is targeting a return to action in December. According to the Daily Star, 24-hour has been out since September. Over the last week, the Red Devils have craved for some possession. Early December, bloody hell, that's ages away. He's running. That's got to be longer than that. Phil Jones, this hopefully won't be out for that long. To be honest, he's been out 80 minutes too long. Going after the 20 minutes of the weekend just proves we can't trust him. There you go. What can't speak, can't lie. Real Madrid star open to Manchester United move. That's Asensio, we've just spoken about. Predictions for the team against Swansea. Luke Shaw to start. I mean, I think Luke Shaw should have started by now. That's the winner signed Juan Mata thing that we did for the other night. It's on the Manchester United feed. If you want to win a signed Mata shirt, the promotion's on there. Steve Bruce wants Sam Johnston. Manchester United to bounce back, says Charlie Nicholas. Don't really care about him. And what else is going on? Reserves are playing Liverpool. Yeah, the common goal, Mata shirts all over the line for that. Manchester United fans are loving David Moyes to Everton rumours, because obviously he has been sacked, Koeman. But I just wanted to have a look at this as well, because one thing you can do on One Football app is look at players' stats. And we were waxing lyrical about Lukaku, weren't we, earlier? Well, if you go into what his season stats so far, shot accuracy of 65%, he's played 9, he's got 7, and he's got 2 assists, an assist at the weekend. Duels won quite low, 36%. Pass accuracy, 71. That's probably higher than some people would have thought from 86 passes. Touches in 90 minutes, 35.75. 3 crosses, of which we got a goal from. Shot accuracy, 64%, with 4 goals in the Premier League. There we go. Football app, One Football app, link in the video description. You can get all your player stats and your latest Manchester United news there for you. Right, I'm going to open up the phones and start taking some of your calls. Andres Pereira is a topic I do want to bring into the show as well. I predicted this, if you've not seen Red Rumours from today, it went up at 1 o'clock and I spoke about it a bit last night. I'll read you some of the quotes from Andres Pereira, but effectively he said, I've got to think of myself. Asked about Jose Mourinho and his unhappiness, he basically said, well, he wouldn't be unhappy if I wasn't good. But I've got to think of myself, and I am considering a second year at Valencia. Which is quite, I like Andres Pereira, but where is this arrogance coming from? At the end of the day, where is it coming from, and what does it mean for Manchester United? Is it good or is it bad? I've been a big fan of his for a long time, but there we go. So, what are we looking for tonight? Come on and talk about anything you want, but there was a great question from Paul Robinson last night, the 3 things that you would change at Manchester United if you were the boss. Maybe we want to talk about that, maybe we want to talk about things that are going right or wrong, but... Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Mark, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not bad. Slowly, still digesting the result from Saturday, but yeah.
Go on then. Tell me, if you had Jose Mourinho on now and you weren't just talking to my sad face, what would be your one plea to Jose Mourinho to sort things out at Manchester United, or do you just think it's, do you think there isn't anything to sort out?
I think the main thing when he came out with they had a better attitude than us. I'm thinking, well, why is that, Jose? Can you not G these players up anymore for playing these so-called lesser teams? I don't know. He must have known that Huddersfield were always going to be up for this. Like you said, this is their fairy tale. Every so-called lesser team is going to be up for it when Man United come to town, because we are the biggest scalp in the Premier League for these lower teams. And he must have knew that Huddersfield would give everything they had in terms of effort and desire. If we know that, how does he not know that? But again, it's classic Jose, isn't it? The blame never stops at his door. He's quite happy to throw the players under a bus. I know it sounds like I'm a Jose basher, but I remember coming on, I think it was at the start of the season, and I had my concerns about Jose, the fact about Martial and Shaw, how he's quite happy to slag them off in public, but he lauds the likes of Marwan Fellaini. And I do think, I know you love him to bits, Mark, but I think he's starting to lose his touch. And maybe people will say in the comments, oh yeah, that's just a knee-jerk reaction after one result. This has been building,
mate,
for over a season now.
This is what the Skype show is all about. United fans, real fans coming on and have their opinion. What I would say about that is, I tweeted it out, I don't know whether anyone saw it today on my @MarkGoldbridge account, but I tweeted it out. I was talking to a Chelsea fan at work today, and I was defending Mourinho, and they were sort of laughing, saying, oh, I'm glad we got rid of him, we'd rather have Conte. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then they came out with something that actually did sort of stop me in my tracks for a second. And they said, look, the thing about Mourinho that annoyed me, this was the Chelsea fan, is that he was forever slagging the players off in public. And I thought, oh God, this sounds familiar. And he said, he's already lost, that's why he lost his job at Chelsea, because he lost the players slagging them all off. And that just dropped into my head. It's the sentence that stuck with me all day in relation to football, really, because I was like, you know what? I have been, and you've just said it, and a lot of United fans have been saying it for a long time with Mourinho, that it frustrates them how he slags the players off in public. And he did lose a dressing room at Chelsea because of it.
You can't do it, because those players will be in their little groups in the changing room going, well, I'm not playing for him anymore. And like I said, that is exactly how he lost his job. Because you look at Courtois, Matic, ironically enough, Ivanovic, Hazard and Costa, they were the 5, don't get me wrong, they're all horrific, the players, but those were the 5 that really stood out. They were unbelievably poor. And then the next season, they all go and win the title for Conte. And I think Jose's still seething from that as well. I really think he was absolutely seething at that, watching Chelsea pretty much steamroll to the league. And that clearly didn't help him. But the thing that gets me the most is, I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about either, to be honest. Luke Shaw. Jose said himself that he is fit. I guarantee you now he will not play tomorrow. I guarantee it. Even if he's... Because we've only really got him and Daley Blind at left-backs, senior recognised left-backs. And he will not play. And I know it might be a bit far-fetched, but I think Mourinho is the type to hold grudges. And I remember we picked Chelsea to Luke Shaw when we signed him, and Mourinho was in charge, and I think he still holds a grudge against Luke Shaw. That might be far-fetched, but Mourinho is the type of manager for me that will hold grudges. And I cannot believe that Luke Shaw is not playing. I really can't. That is one of our problem areas at left-back. It's not actually the biggest problem area, but it certainly is one of them. And he can't get a look in. And to touch on Pereira as well, Mark, I think even if Pereira was here, I honestly think Pereira's done the right thing. I know that you might disagree with that, but even if he was here, I can guarantee you now he wouldn't be playing tomorrow either. He wouldn't get a look in against Liverpool. Maybe that is a bit too much of a big game for him, but he wouldn't have got a look in on the weekend either, and that is what concerns me as well. Not just the defensive football, the negative tactics, is treatment of youth players as well. Twanzebe again. He's not getting a look in. I can pretty much guarantee that he won't play any part tomorrow either. So,
yeah, it is an interesting one in relation to Andres Pereira, because he's basically come out today or yesterday and asked about it, and asked about the move to Valencia, and very much it won't please Manchester United fans, because it doesn't please me. And I put, I really like Mourinho, but he doesn't come close to Manchester United. I really like Zlatan, but it doesn't come close to Manchester United. That's my loyalty. And I really like Pereira. I've been going on about him since day one on the United stand. But his comments today are very Andres Pereira centric. I'm thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about Manchester United. He spoke about a second year at Valencia. I personally think he'll be sold in the summer. I don't think we'll see him at United again. I think he was asked about coming back in January. He said, "I hope not. It will be difficult. I'd rather stay here." I mean, they're not, and they're not making him. They're in the summer. He seemed very positive towards United. He was like, "I'm going to work hard. I'm going to get myself a place in the squad." Then he suddenly goes to Valencia, and now he's very negative towards United.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I disagree in that I don't think he'd get anywhere near the matchday squad. I don't know, again, because Mourinho, he's a very, very clever man. Maybe he didn't want Pereira to stay. Just to throw that out there. Maybe he's just come out in the public and said, "Oh, I wanted him to stay." Maybe he's just trying to lay the blame at his door. I don't know. Maybe that is a bit far-fetched, but you never know with Mourinho, do you? Because he's so clever in terms of that, with the mind games.
Brilliant first call. I could keep you on all night, but I know people will be moaning, Andy. But really great way to open it up, and please do call in again.
Yeah, we'll do. Cheers, Mark. All the best.
Cheers, pal. Really, really good call. Drop a like if you liked it, because I certainly did. And remember, drop a like anyway, because tonight is the Skype show for everybody to call in and have their say. I'm going to take another one quite quickly, hopefully. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hi, Mark.
Hi, is it Brevin?
Yeah, it's Brevin.
Okay, hi. What do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about this whole Mourinho issue. I think he can't, because I mean, all of these comments he's come up with under Herrera saying that they played with more passion, which is quite true. And then he blasts his players for saying that when they're just trying to be honest. And also there's this whole Paris comment, and I think he's just digging himself a deeper hole every week. I think it's getting where I think there's like no positivity.
Sorry, Brevin, it was breaking up a lot there. I will try and get you on again in a little bit, but let's try another one. Kenneth, can you hear me?
Hey,
Kenneth?
Mark, how's it going?
Hi, I'm all right. How are you?
Yes, Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
I'm doing well. Okay,
Good.
great.
What do you want to talk about?
Just in accordance to your question pertaining to if I had Jose in the room, what would I tell him? I would tell him a few things. One, I do agree with some of his frustrations with the Glazers not really being behind him and the ownership not giving him an open checkbook, even though we're the richest club in the world. I understand that. And that does make things a little bit more difficult. But he's hurting himself with his obsessions, or not obsessions, just his opinion on players. I think once he pegs a player for being a specific type of way, he treats that player in that manner, regardless of their talent, and he'll pick somebody else who isn't as talented over them because they like him more. I.e., one of my favorite players, Martial. I think Martial is going to be one of the best players in the world in the next 3 to 5 years. he subs him off at halftime. He
Can I
subs
just
Juan
jump in
Mata
there?
off at
Can I just
halftime.
jump in there? Because I'll probably
Please.
be able to add something to that for you that you can develop around Martial. Because I meant to bring it in the last call, but we went off on a tangent. What I want to say about Martial is, and I don't know whether you agree with me, is that a lot of people gave Martial a lot of stick. I was disgusted when he got subbed at half-time at the weekend, but a lot of people were like, oh, he was rubbish. Mourinho came out after the game and was like, my players don't, they didn't try. Martial was booked in the first 3 minutes. He was throwing his weight around. He was nearly going to get a red card, and I just thought, Martial's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. He goes into that game pumped up for it, chucking himself around, gets a yellow card on the edge of a red card. And then everyone says he's rubbish, and Mourinho's like, my players don't try hard enough. And, I think he was trying too hard, which was his problem last year.
I agree. And he's very, very to himself. I'm not going to call him shy. I don't know the man personally, but people have different personalities. And it is well documented that Jose Mourinho and Martial's personalities don't always mesh very well. And I think that's where that stems from. But you could clearly tell he was fired up. He was emotional. He was ready to go for this game. And we couldn't create anything. And at halftime, you take off probably the two best creators we have because of our long injury list in Martial and Juan Mata. And it doesn't make any sense. He's had a decorated past with Juan Mata, and he's had a well-documented, clash with Martial as well. And I think if he doesn't square that away within himself, he's going to make his job here a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Especially after saying a few comments about Paris and then turning against a cult fan favorite in Mata and another fan favorite in Martial. We are the best fans in the world, and we love those two players. And he picks on those players every now and again. And it's just, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. But I'm not Mourinho out or anything like that. I think he's the best manager. I don't think anybody else could have this team at second place coming from sixth. And in second place as of right now, with only giving 3 out of the 4 players that he wanted and a long injury list. And he's done an amazing job thus far, but he's making it a little bit more difficult on himself by picking Mickey week in and week out when it just doesn't look like he's up for it. I do not think he has the physicality for the Premier League. Sad to say, I was really excited for him because I watched him at Dortmund, and he's an amazing footballer, but I don't think that the Premier League is for him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on that. I mean, just looking at some of the comments, people are saying Twansibi and Luke Shaw and Gomez should play tomorrow. Well, Gomez is with the under-17s and they're playing a semi-final against Brazil on Wednesday, I think it is. But Luke Shaw, I think Luke Shaw will start tomorrow. He played in the last game against Burton and everyone was like, oh, is he going to play? And I think I said he won't play again until the next round of the League Cup. Previous caller said there, it's almost as if Mourinho has a grudge against some players, but that would be ridiculous.
Exactly.
I don't think it's ridiculous at all. I think Mourinho's always had grudges against players. And, I like Ashley Young. He's done very well. He's got quite a lot of assists. But you know what? Luke Shaw's better than Ashley Young. He's better than Darmian. And I think Mourinho's stubbornness is something that he has with certain players. I mean, Luke Shaw just should, Luke Shaw's that good that when he's back fit, he's been fit for 5 weeks now. He should have been playing for at least a month, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what you think about that.
I totally agree. I think especially with our inability, especially before Ashley Young got his little run at left back, our inability for anybody on the left side to actually run forward, because Daley Blind can put the cross in, but he can't get in those attacking positions because of his lack of pace. Luke Shaw has that pace. And I think before Ashley Young's little run at left back, we were crying for Luke Shaw. But because of that grudge, he's not going to bring him in. And that's another thing that struck me as odd, bringing Lindelof in before Daley Blind at left-sided center back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Especially when Smalling and Blind they were the center back partnership that got us through the Europa League and into the Champions League. I don't understand it. They've had a partnership. Lindelof is obviously struggling for confidence. He's a center back that looks lost. He looks lost, he looks like a deer in headlights. And you chuck him into a game that's based on physicality, and they're pumped up just to be playing Manchester United. And we never looked like winning after Phil Jones went off. But you can't trust Phil Jones. But it's those little decisions that he makes that's based off of impulse because of grudges and because of work ethic or because of his, I guess, presumption of said player that will definitely contribute to us dropping points.
Yeah, really, really good points, Kenneth. Again, could speak to you all night like the previous caller, Andy. But thanks for calling. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for calling in, and please do call in again.
Thank you, Mark. Love the show.
Cheers, pal. Yeah, really good points. Drop a like on the video. I'm sure every call is going to be good because you're all fantastic. But do drop a like and support your fellow United standers calling in tonight. Cameo1911 has made a contribution. He says we need to rely on youth and look at Tottenham. Josh E says no leader in the team with current injuries, spineless. Thanks for the contributions, lads. Here's an old one. I don't know how old he is, but he's been on the show a few times before. Daniel, how are you?
Old enough, Mark. I'm old enough.
He heard me. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Well, let's see. To start off with, I'm gonna kind of go back on you with a couple of points, kind of against the grain of what people are saying. But I don't think Jose wants to be here anymore. I think Jose wants to leave, and he's starting to alienate himself from the team, from the players, just to give himself an escape way to get out. Because I just think he's finding the job harder than he thought it was going to be, and he's realizing that he can't emulate Sir Alex. He can't walk in his footsteps. So now he's starting to, throw the players under the bus. He's coming out more and more saying, picking up on their mistakes more than he did, a year ago. And I just think that's the path he's going down.
It's an interesting theory. I've sort of followed Mourinho's career right from the start, not Porto, but when he came to Chelsea, and I didn't like him, but I admired him as you admire anybody who beats you, and he did when he first came to England with Chelsea. He beat the great Sir Alex Ferguson. But the one thing about Mourinho I could confidently say, and I think we could say, is that he wanted the job straight after Sir Alex Ferguson, and he desperately wanted the job when he was given it this time, because he's got such an ego, Mourinho, which I think is a positive. He's got such a big ego that coming in and restoring and bettering Sir Alex Ferguson would be a massive, massive draw to him. And I think what you've just said there, potentially, I personally don't think it is true, but who am I to say? Maybe he has come in and he's like, wow, this board is not giving me what I want. The players aren't good enough. I'm living in a hotel. That for me has been spoke about for over a year now by fans. Why the hell is he living in a hotel if he's committed to our club? I don't get that. And he never looks happy, does he?
No, of course. Even when we'll beat teams 4-0, still be upset with, one thing that we did wrong. Picks on certain players they'll make the same mistakes, won't say anything. But just to touch on what you said about being backed by the owners. Going back to the game at the weekend and then Liverpool, we don't need to be backed by the owners to go away to Huddersfield and win. We don't need to be backed by the owners to go and beat Liverpool at Anfield, and they're shipping in 4 goals week in and week out. If you don't have the players that are good enough, get some players in your team that are hungry enough. Maybe that's the answer. If the guys that out there aren't good enough, like Mkhitaryan, he was a solid drop this weekend. I agree with that. But just gets guys with a little bit more hunger, a little bit more passion. Don't see the reason why a player like McTominay is even making the bench when the fans know Twanzebe's better. Twanzebe knows he's better. Just doesn't make any sense to me. But the thing about Mourinho leaving is if you keep pissing off your missus or your boyfriend or whatever have you, it's not an excuse when they want to break up with you anymore. And that's what I think. That's the road he's going down. He's going to make it so that they turn on him. The board turns on him, and then he could blame them when he's gone. Because he doesn't want to come out and say that he wants to just outright and leave.
It's an interesting one. Obviously, I'm a big Mourinho fan, and I was going to ask you then that. My next question to you is going to be, taking Mourinho out of the equation, what do you think the problem is with the players that they can't do it against a team like Huddersfield? But on the bigger point of what you've said, I think some United fans won't accept it, but I would call the Spurs game on Saturday pivotal for so many reasons. We're 5 points off City. Any more, we lose or draw, I think we're never getting near them again. Spurs are probably the in-form team with City in the league. They've done very well away to people like Real Madrid. They're coming to our ground. We need to win. I think it's absolutely pivotal for our season. I think if we don't win on Saturday, then we may as well settle for a battle for fourth. But in the bigger picture, Mourinho can't go out and play. That 11 that he picked on Saturday based on the injuries was the one I predicted on the preview the night before. It's the team I would have played. So Mourinho picks the team I would have played, the team many would have played. What went wrong? What is going wrong? We weren't good at Benfica. We were terrible at Liverpool. What is going wrong? Is it personnel? Is it tactics? Is it effort? Is it a combination of things?
I just think that a lot of the early results were false dawns. Really, I mean, we were grinding the teams down, and a lot of these games could have been 1-2-0 games. And then we had 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, or 3 goals in the last 10 minutes, and a lot of these are 1-0 grinded out type games. And I know the pundits were pointing to well, that's what a good team does. They'll break it down and then they'll add the goals in later. But what happens when the early goals don't come? What happens when you're not a goal ahead? He said he wanted to see how the team responds by going a goal down. Well, we went 2 goals down and there was no response. There was no response by the players. There was no response from him. But anybody thinking that we're going to get anything from the Spurs game, it's going to be a draw. So you might not even want to tune into your TVs on match day, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to park the bus. He knows that we're in a bit of a rut. We went away to Anfield, got nothing. We lost last week. He needs to steady the ship. So we're going to be playing a boring game. We'll have about 2 shots on target. Maybe try to nick it 1-0 and finish 0-0, and then we'll go away to Chelsea and we'll do the same thing. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. I'd rather go out there and lose. I'd rather go out there and lose and at least play, from end to end, like United knows how to play. Just and then now he wants to get in Mesut Ozil, who's a serial down your tools player. Guy won't track back, and he's going to be the answer. Please.
It's you can always trust United, especially United stand viewers, to point out the point that I really didn't want to remember, which had been in my head, to be honest, for the last couple of days. But I'm not going to mention it. But the whole Mourinho wanted to see how we do when we went behind, and you're right to bring it up, really, because the answer is we bottled it. And I knew from half time in that game, for anybody who watched the watch, and I sort of put my neck on the line and said this game's lost. I just, the subs would. I don't understand why you take Mata and Martial off. I don't even care. They weren't that bad in the first half, but even if they were that bad, they're still probably our 2 best flair players to make something happen. And when you need to score 3 goals, to take Martial and Mata off and bring Mkhitaryan on. I mean, Rashford scored, and I like Rashford, but to bring Mkhitaryan on was just suicide. And so it turned out. I thought we were absolutely. I think he's awful. I think he's absolutely awful. And no one's more disappointed than me. I really like Mkhitaryan. But on the Ozil point, I must admit, last week when we did the video, I was the same as you. But after that weekend and seeing Mkhitaryan come on for 45 minutes and Lingard play at number 10. You mentioned McTominay not being good enough. I mean, we're playing Jesse Lingard as a number 10 in the Premier League. I would take Ozil any day of the week. He might down his tools, he might not track back, but he's still better than Lingard as a number 10, and that is an improvement.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll agree with you there, but I just think that the whole Jose saga, when we look back on it in a couple of years, was he came in, we had a couple trophies, he tried to do his best, but he's going to wind up selling Anthony Martial. He's gonna wind up alienating himself from a lot of the young players. Who are we gonna say that he brought through? Scott McTominay.
I'll tell you what, though, I've got to defend. I mean, I always try to defend him, as people will know, but I've got to defend him and say, for all the doom and gloom, which I totally agree with, I'm still very frustrated with the weekend. I still think in a year he's won. Well, I know he's won his Europa League, which we've never won. He's won as the League Cup. We're second in the league. I still think, I still think he's massively overachieving with the squad he's got.
I would say yes and no. I think, call me crazy, but I think we're missing Michael Carrick right now. Not even maybe so much on the field, but on the bench, because he's one of the last United players of the Sir Alex era, and there's nobody on that field. You look at the pitch, there's nobody on that pitch that gets it. I mean, Smalling's not the vocal leader that people think he is. He's a good center back. He's strong. But he's not the vocal leader that a Michael Carrick might be to calm people down, settle them into a game, It's just, I just look around, I don't see anybody who's picking up the mantle when I look on that team. That's why I didn't want Zlatan to come back, but having Zlatan come back is gonna help us, because he'll look around and say, all right, who's with me, who's going into the fight, who's not.
Yeah, we said it last night, didn't we? Zlatan was probably a bit of a divider in the summer. I mentioned a month ago that he will come in and play at number 10, and were people like, no, 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 no. I think everyone was with me last night. Get him back, give him the number 10 shirt, play him as a number 10, because he's got to be better than Jesse Lingard or Mkhitaryan at the moment. But the leadership is massive. I mean, one of the saddest things that's happened to United in the last 2 years has been the Carrick, who was never injury prone, and it obviously is down to age. It's not his fault. He's just become so injury prone. I mean, how ironic that Fellaini and Pogba get injured, and you think, oh, Carrick can get some games, and he gets injured, and all he'd ever done is play a game against Burton. I mean, you just can't rely on Carrick anymore. But you're right, he's a real leader, and I don't think we'll see much of Carrick. There's talk of him maybe being back tomorrow, but just can't. Again, it's a bit like Phil Jones, really. You just can't trust him anymore.
Right, no, and the thing about this last thing I want to say about the Mourinho thing is, with the team he has, and it's a mix of veterans and not too much youth, that's why you need a guy like Carrick in that type of team. If we had a manager like Pochettino, let's say, we could clean the slate and start over and have Martial as our left winger and Rashford playing as a forward and start from nothing, because he has guys that he kind of all came up with him. He has a couple veterans, but not in the same ilk that like a Carrick would be, or like Rooney was last year, or players like that. So, I just think the pieces don't fit for the manager we have, and that's why he's trying to make this his team, and it's just not working.
Thanks for calling, Daniel, as ever. Really good points, and please do call in again.
Absolutely, Mark. Will do. Take care.
Cheers, you too, pal.
Thanks.
There's a great comment here from Andrew K before I take another call, and it says, it's not just United. Look around, most teams don't have leaders. Leadership is a dying commodity in modern football. And I don't know about you lot, but I don't understand why. It's not like football's evolved, you don't need leaders anymore. I mean, if anything, I would be looking at that as Jose Mourinho or any other manager going, wow, leadership is a dying commodity. I'm going to get a leader, and that's going to make us even better. I mean, I was playing five-a-side last week, and we were losing 3-2 with 5 minutes to go. And I just started giving people a rollicking, and led by example. I've watched Roy Keane growing up, and I basically just replicate him. Not in the talent, but in the gobbing off. I'm like, you lead by example. You're a crunching tackle, and you're like, come on, and you start giving people a bollocking, and people respond to it. They do, and I'm stunned that it's a dying commodity, because it's so important, and we've had it for so long. Whether it's Bruce, Robson, Keane, Cantona, Vidic, we've had it year on year on year on year, and now we don't have it, and it's such a it takes you to that next level. If we had a leader on that pitch, we wouldn't have lost against Huddersfield, because if you've got a leadership and you've got the talent, you don't lose, and we don't have a leader. I mean, it's been totally forgotten about, apart from in my match reaction and on Saturday, and I'm amazed it doesn't get more spoken about. Our captain is Antonio Valencia, who can't bloody master the language of English. So how can he be a leader? I'm stunned by that. This is Mourinho, who had John Terry as his captain for years and years and years. And John Terry, whatever you want to say about him off the pitch, I've got a few expletives. But on the pitch, as a leader, very, very good. And Mourinho basically moulded him as that. And I'm stunned that he doesn't have it. It really makes me... and Manchester United need a leader. I mean, I suppose you look around world football and who is a leader. Maybe that's a problem in itself. But breed one, make one. It's not that hard. Well, it probably obviously is that hard, but it's a shame. Share. We're only halfway through the show. Share, and give us your comments. Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good, thanks. I just wanted to say, I disagree with that last person's opinion, because saying Mourinho's going to give up, do you really think a multiple Premier League title winning manager is just going to quit because he's not getting the players that he wants? Because at the end of the day, at the start of the 2015-16 season, I thought United would win the league, but obviously we didn't, because Van Gaal made the wrong decisions, didn't pick the right players, whatever you want to say. But that was a decent squad, in my opinion, apart from the likes of Phil Jones, the Wayne Rooneys, the Fellainys. But I think he's got a decent enough squad. I think maybe get another decent midfielder, not a holding midfielder, someone like a Kroos to play in a midfield three with Matic and Pogba. And I think we can really, push for titles, Champions Leagues, Yeah,
I wouldn't disagree with you. I think, to be honest with you, thinking about what you just said there about Mourinho quitting, I don't think he'll ever quit, because that's a stupid thing to do, because you lose out on a lot of money. I do agree. I don't know what I think really. He doesn't look very happy. He is still living in a hotel, and I don't know whether the job is what he thought it was going to be. But whether he'd quit or not, I don't know. I suppose one thing he could do, and you think about them comments last week, if he's not happy and he's looking for a way out, the whole little flirt with PSG, and PSG just offer him loads of money and he goes that way.
Yeah, but if you look at PSG, they're looking really strong in the Champions League. And do you really think they're going to sack their manager after a possible Champions League win? Because they blew Bayern out the water, and I'd have to say Bayern overall have a better rounded squad, because PSG's defence is not that brilliant to me. But to be honest, I think the reason Mourinho is living in a hotel is his son plays for Fulham in the academy, so he can't leave. He's got to live in London, and I think his sister, correct me if I'm wrong, his daughter is studying in London, so they have a settled home there. So I don't really think that the family would want to move. That's just what I've read. But
no, you're spot on. But I just think maybe that was, I don't know, it just doesn't strike me. I totally get that. I do agree with that. It is facts, but it just doesn't strike me as the right sort of relationship United need with their manager. But then again, you could flip it the other way and say he's living in a hotel. He's not got much of a home life, so he's living, eating, breathing Manchester United while he's up in Manchester. I'm a big Mourinho fan. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I personally think we'll beat Spurs at the weekend. I said we were going to win the league just because Mourinho wins it in the first 2 years. I'm just basing that on stats. I mean, my heart says we're not going to get close to the title, but I do think we can battle for second place. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are about that. Do you think it's too early for that? I mean, injuries are a big problem for us at the moment. However positive we want to be, we are missing 2 or 3 really key players.
Yes, but we haven't got Dejan Lovren in our defence, so we are in good stead.
Got Lindelof.
Yeah, but personally, people saying Blind should have come on, but if Blind makes those mistakes, you're arguing Lindelof should have come on. Yeah, so I think it's just you could argue both ways for it. But to be honest, I think that if we don't pick a minimum 3 points out from the next 2 league games, we're out of the title race. If you've looked over the past few seasons, we always have that spell where we have a bad result, then we fall out of it, like when we fell to 6th, 5th, and all those Arsenal fans or Liverpool fans saying 6th on Twitter and all that. But at the end of the day, we have to at least win 1 and draw 1. Hopefully, and I think we're still in contention, but at the end of the day, I think we can really knock City off their perch. I know it's a bad thing to say that as a United fan, but when it comes to when we play them, but yeah, that's my opinion. That's the only way that we can get near them.
Fantastic call, Joe. I'm just reading the comments. Lots of people positive about what you've said, speaking in a lot of sense. Really great to have you on, and do call in again.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Thank you. Drop a like on the video. I always push it on a Skype show, mainly because of the calls that people come in. It's not easy. I was going to say what I always say. It's not easy to call in and be talking in front of 1,000 people. But these people tonight, I found it very, very easy, to be honest. So do drop them a like if you enjoy the show. We come into it raw, and it never fails to impress me. I love the Skype show on a Monday night because so many of you in the live comments are spot on, and then you get a few of you calling in, and again, it's spot on. Really, really enjoying it. I'm just going to have a look at some of your comments. Nipple says we're not beating Spurs if we carry on playing the way we are. Just picking up on what Joe said there about toppling City. I'll be totally blunt with you now. I mean, I think City are in danger of running away with the title. But it's going to really hurt me a lot to see Pep Guardiola lifting the Premier League next May. It's not as bad as Liverpool lifting it, but I have got no time for Pep Guardiola at all. I do think he is Pep Fraudiola. And I know people will say, oh, you can't say that, they're top of the league. But I can say that. I've followed his career as well. And he's like the kid with the silver spoon in his mouth. You know, he was handed the keys to the kingdom at Barcelona with the best player in the world, arguably Messi, the best team there's been in the last 20 years, Barcelona. I mean, I could have gone and won everything they won there. And I'm not joking, I say that with a serious face. I mean, that squad, you could basically just send it out to do whatever it did. Then he went to Bayern Munich, a one-horse town, and still, you know, he won leagues, but he's got all the money, all the players, one-horse league, and couldn't win the Champions League. Inherited the Champions League winners, couldn't do it. Blank checkbook again. And now he's come to Manchester City, and he had one summer of a blank checkbook and got absolutely found out last year, didn't he? And then this year he's gone and spent a load more blank checks, and it's all falling into place for him because Chelsea are nowhere near the team they were last year. Liverpool are Liverpool, Arsenal are Arsenal, Spurs are playing at Wembley, and United with Mourinho are doing it with one arm behind his back. You know, Mourinho hasn't had that blank checkbook he needed. He hasn't had it. And on top of that, if you don't want to use that as an excuse, we've also had horrific injuries which have undermined our season. I personally do think that if we hadn't have had the Pogba injury especially, and the Bailly one, if we'd have had Pogba and Bailly for the last 2 games, I think we'd have 6 points instead of 1, and we'd still be level with City. But people can say, well, you can't moan about injuries, but you can't. That will come from rivals. You know, Man City will say, oh, you can't use injuries as an excuse because they haven't got any bloody injuries. I guarantee you, if you took De Bruyne out of their team, they would struggle. Spenny D's made a contribution. I can't believe the bad press Blind gets for centre-back. For me, he's 100% better than Lindelof. Why not start him? I do agree with the last caller, though, that if Blind had come on and made those mistakes, everyone would have said, why don't you play Lindelof? That's the beauty of being a football fan. You can be a hypocrite because you're a genius in hindsight. But I was very surprised. I was surprised. I actually think Lindelof won't be a flop. I've said that all along. I'm not slagging him off. He was poor at the weekend, but I don't think Lindelof will be a flop. And I've been consistent about that, but I wouldn't have brought him on at the weekend. A player who's finding his way in the Premier League, lacking confidence in the Premier League, and you chuck him into that. I mean, we were 20 minutes into that game against Huddersfield. It's chucking it down the rain. It's quite clearly a battlefield, and then you chuck Lindelof on, who's not that sort of player, and then he makes 2 terrible mistakes. I would have gone with Blind because Blind and Smalling are probably, in fact they are, they're our most experienced centre-back partnership. They've played together more than anybody else. I was very surprised we didn't put Blind on, but we didn't, and it's history, and we move into the next game. But if Jones is out on Saturday and Bay's out on Saturday, I'd play Blind and Smalling because I think I worry what Harry Kane could do to somebody like Lindelof. Right, Paul Robinson's coming on, and hopefully he's going to remember what he said last night and pick up on that. Paul, can you hear me?
All right, Mark. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not too bad, sir.
Good. Go on then, floor's yours.
Yeah, I was just my main question is, do you think that United fans will ever be truly happy with Mourinho? I mean, in terms of he's never going to change his tactics. However much he wins and the trophies he brings us, he's only ever one loss from parking the bus away from this sort of stick that he gets. You know, his negative tactics, his negative in the press conferences, he's negative towards his players. He demands confidence. He doesn't inspire confidence. And as much as a good manager I think he is, and he's right for United, I always think he's just that little bit away from being, you know, the right sort of manager for United for the way he plays. And he's never going to change. He's always going to be like that, and he always has been. What do you think?
We're about 45 minutes into this show, and unless somebody creates a gif of this, you're going to get an absolute exclusive from me that I've never said before about Mourinho. I mean, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Mourinho, but I'm going to tell you why now, because it's a really good point you've said, Paul, and you know, it's not at the start of the video, so only the hardcore people are going to hear me say this. I see Jose Mourinho as a short-term stop at Manchester United. I don't see him as a 10-year manager, and I don't want him to be a 10-year manager. I wanted him to come to Manchester United, and the reason I wanted him to come to Manchester United is because I felt after 4 years of no title, we were slipping down the path of Arsenal and Liverpool, and we needed to win a title very, very quickly. And when we got Mourinho, this whole wins the title in the first 2 years was very important to me, because it was like, look, if Mourinho comes in for 3 years, we win a title, and then he goes, we've won a title and we reset the clock. Because you're spot on. If we got to the Champions League final by some means or other, and we've got Real Madrid in the Champions League final, I've got no doubt, like you've just said there, there's no way we're going to go and play football. We are going to park the bus and we're going to try and grind out a 1-0 win. And it goes against any real Manchester United fans' philosophy of why they love this club?
Yeah, my point exactly. I mean, he's never going to change his tactics. He will always win trophies. He'll always bring in silverware. We overachieved last season, but his tactics are never going to change. So I think, not United fans are never going to be truly happy with him. And as you say, I think you're perfectly spot on. Come in, settle the ship, win some trophies, get some silverware in the cabinet. Start us off on the right tracks. Somebody else comes in after 3 years because Mourinho only ever lasts 3 years, and then carry on from there. But I don't see him as a long termer. But he's at the moment, in terms of our players as well. All we did was replace Lukaku. Zlatan with Lukaku, replace Rooney with Matic. Lindelof has not done too well. One extra player. Do you think that would have really made that much of a difference to our squad? Because the point I'm trying to make is our squad good enough to win the league? I know it's been brought up a lot, but to go for sixth first, we want Fellaini back. We can't wait for a 36-year-old Zlatan. We're talking about Carrick coming back in, who's 36 years old, and he's lost it a little bit. And the style of play that we play at the moment, I don't think suits some of the players that we got. Mickey needs space. He needs people running past him. He gets a lot of stick, but we're not playing in the way that he likes to play. We're methodical and slow in the build-up, which means people aren't running on. Like Martial, he gets the ball to feet all the time. He's not running beyond defenders. The slow, methodical build-up doesn't really suit Lukaku either, because he wants things pinging about so he can slip in, make a run, but we're passing it sideways and backwards at the back. We're playing it back to De Gea. We're knocking it forward. We're trying to get the first header. We haven't got Fellaini up there. We missed the first header. We lose the ball. It comes back at us. We get it in defence again. We knock it to De Gea, throw it back up there. At the moment, I don't think our tactics are quite where we need to be with the players that we got.
There's a few. I've just jotted them down there because you were covering so many good points. It was like a City win. But
sorry, yeah, it's just things that irritate me during the game that I'm screaming at, thinking, why are we slamming it back to De Gea, and De Gea's lumping it up to just beyond the halfway line? So players like Mata, and Martial, who are not going to knock it down. We can't keep the ball properly, and then it comes back at us. And are we playing on the counter attack? Are we doing methodical build up? Are we playing dynamic football? What type of football do you think we're playing at the moment?
I mean, let me whiz through them. The first one I would say is that just like when Stoke got a draw out of us, and Mark Hughes came out afterwards and said, "I already knew United's weakness. It was they don't use the left hand side, so we did." That's one manager already this season that's outdone Mourinho. The weekend, Tom Ince has come out and said Manchester United just don't move the ball quick enough, so we knew that if we pressed them, we could make them make mistakes, hence the Mata first goal. The opposition know we don't move the ball quick enough, so if fans are saying it, well, the opposition know it, and we don't move the ball quick enough at all, so that's worrying that two of the worst teams we've played, Huddersfield and Stoke, have outdone us tactically. What I would say on a positive is that the squad isn't good enough to win the title. I totally agree with you, but it was never good enough to win a title under Sir Alex Ferguson. And I think that's the beauty of Mourinho, is that he can achieve, he can win the title with this squad. And I don't think he was backed in the summer, and I'll say it till the cows come home, he wasn't. But he could win the title with his squad because he's Jose Mourinho, just like Sir Alex Ferguson could win it. I agree the squad is not as good as City's, nowhere near, but we are sort of relying on a manager. And then the other thing I was going to say is that it's funny how when we were winning all those games, everyone was talking about Mourinho being here for 10 years. Matthew McFadden's actually made a contribution about this. He says, we shouldn't be blind and disregard the past when it comes to Mourinho. He's only here for a few years, and those who disagree are very naive. We got him to make us winners again, which is effectively what I was trying to say before when you asked me that question. It's gone quiet on Mourinho being here for 10 years, and maybe that disappeared because of the Liverpool result. Maybe it disappeared because of his flirting with PSG. But Mourinho's never stayed anywhere longer than 3 years, and I don't for 1 minute think... He's already said himself he won't be here. He won't finish his career at United. And although he justified it by saying, I want to manage for 15 more years, and nobody stays in management for 15 years at one club now, Wenger will be the last. Actually, I think that was just a cop-out excuse because he wished he hadn't said it. The reality is, if you want to be at a club forever, you're going to say, I want to be here forever. I don't see Mourinho being here for very long, and I'd be very surprised if he sees that himself. He's gone. Paul's gone. Seems to have lost him. Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, he might call back. We might have lost Skype. I think we've lost Skype, which is just flashing up at me. Okay. Anyway, it was an excellent call, George, from Paul. I'm glad he called in. Beck says the same. I think every call tonight has been absolutely superb. So please, please, please drop a like on the video for all our callers tonight. Skype Goldbridge is my favourite show of the week now. I mean, Sunday night show's the oldest show. It's the first show we ever did. Skype Goldbridge on a Monday night's quite young, really. We've only been doing it for about 5-6 months, but it's fast become one of the greatest shows that we do. Really love it. It's exactly what the channel's about. Your opinion, and it's live and it's interactive. And it's really good. And I personally think that you've had a real gem in the last 5 to 10 minutes with Paul there, because I've never been asked that question before about why I like Mourinho. And you now know. I like Mourinho not because I think his tactics are brilliant, you know, not because I think his personality and the way he slags players off are brilliant. You know, those two things really do frustrate me. The reason I love Mourinho is because I know that as a short-term manager, he can come in and win trophies, and hopefully the Premier League. Because that's what he does everywhere, and that's why I'm a big Mourinho fan, and totally selfishly, because I'm a Manchester United fan, and I don't want Manchester United to become Arsenal and Liverpool and not to have won a title for 10 years. I mean, it's 5 if we don't win it this year. So, you know, we're already halfway to a decade, and that's why I was overjoyed when Mourinho came in, because Mourinho wins titles, and that is what United need to do. And to be honest with you, if I'm totally blunt, I'm using Mourinho. My club, in my mind, is using Mourinho to win as a title. And I'm sure Mourinho is using Manchester United to come back from what was a very embarrassing sacking at Chelsea. But if it works both ways, it's a happy marriage. And, you know, I don't want Mourinho to be sacked. I want Mourinho to do what he's done at every other bloody club he's been at, and that's win a league title. And if he does that, then I'll be ecstatic. But, as I said, if we got to the Champions League final, or we're playing City in April and we're 5 points clear, he'll park the bus, because he can't help it. That's what he's built his career on. When it comes to the big games, he'll park the bus. And it started famously when he was at Porto at Old Trafford, and he parked the bus. And we should have killed him so many times in that game. I think it was Scholes, he gave a soft free kick away at the end. They scored it, they went through, and they went on to win the European Cup. And we should have buried them over them 2 legs. But he parked the bus. He rode his luck, and he knocked us out, and he went on to win the Cup. And Mourinho has always been slightly blessed. Inter Milan against Barcelona. Barcelona played them off the park. He won the European Cup. And I don't think he'll ever change. When the going gets tough, he'll park the bus. But we've also had some really good football this year, and we've also had lots of bad injuries. And it's such a shame that it's happening at such a key point. These 4 games, we looked at it. We looked at the start of the season. We went, yeah, it's relatively straightforward. We looked at October and went, this is where we'll be tested. We come back from an international break against Liverpool. Huddersfield away shouldn't have been difficult, but obviously we've lost it. Then you've got Spurs and Chelsea. The bad thing for United is, and everyone will say, well, we've had the easier games and we won them. The thing is, we had the best players around then. We need Pogba. We need Bailly. We need those 2 players. And we're not going to have them, are we? We're certainly not going to have Pogba, and that's a real, you know, that's football, isn't it? Wrong channel, but it is. You cannot do anything about the injuries, and the Pogba one is the big one, because Pogba actually was rocking it at the start of the season, in the position where we need him. You know, Fellaini doesn't do it for me against the big teams. I mean, I hope he is back fit against Spurs or Chelsea, but I think Fellaini can be good against your against your Evertons and your Stokes and people like that. But I think Fellaini against your Spurs and your Chelseas will be exposed as I think Fellaini's a first team player for somebody who wants to finish 6th, not first. Herrera's just not up to it, as I said on the Red Rumours earlier. These are the games you need Pogba. You know, you want your best players against the best teams, and we're not going to have him. We didn't have him at Anfield. We're not going to have him against Spurs, and we're not going to have him at Stamford Bridge. And when you look over a season back in next May, we might be looking at it going, you know, we didn't have Pogba for the big games, and that was always going to be a big loss. But I still think we're going to beat Spurs at the weekend. I do. I think we'll beat Spurs in a similar way to the way we beat Chelsea. I think no one's expecting us to win. He'll probably pick a really weird team again, but everyone will be up for it. The crowd will be up for it, and we'll produce a result. And remember, Spurs do bottle it up north a lot as well. They're a bit like Arsenal. They do bottle it up north. They don't like it up them, and I think we can get at them. Tomorrow night, we'll have the watch-along for the Swansea game. For me, that's a bit of a bonus exhibition, really. I mean, Mourinho will take... I must say, Mourinho will take it serious. He will want to win the League Cup because Mourinho wants to win a trophy. And the League Cup, to me, to be honest, not interested in it. We won it last year, great. It's not a priority. But for Mourinho, it will be, because at the end of the season, if he's under pressure, he will be saying, I won a trophy. Ashwari Nipan says, I support Josie 200%. I must say, let Jose play his tactical play for at least 2 to 3 years to win the Premier League. Then once Jose gets his team, which he fully trusts, then he brings players which are exciting in, low cost. Be patient with him. Thanks for the contribution, Ashwari. Good points. In Jose we trust, says Oxybizzle 1984. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I certainly do. I certainly do. But I do agree, and as I'll go back to it, MU Blaze says it. Spurs are very dangerous away, Mark. If we equalise, I won't mind. I think Saturday against Spurs, I think it gets thrown about as a cliche so often. Oh, it's game of the season, it's pivotal. I think Spurs is pivotal, mainly because the point at Liverpool doesn't mean anything. It's not a good result if you don't go and beat Huddersfield, and we lost. The Spurs game is a must-win. They're a very good team, and we've got to win. And if we don't win on Saturday, then all these sort of... I don't think anybody seriously wants Mourinho out, apart from the people who never wanted him before, like Andrew Ellis. I don't think anybody seriously wants Mourinho out. I just think, as fans, we're a bit frustrated about the result and a couple of the tactics, which is to be expected. That's fine. But I don't think anybody really wants Mourinho out. But I think if we lose on Saturday and we lose badly, I don't think anyone will want Mourinho out either. But I think that the start of the slippery slope, which I spoke about on Saturday, starts to slip. It starts to slip down, and that is why I think we will win on Saturday. United have always been great at bouncing back, and we need to bounce back. Thanks everybody for watching. Really loved the show. Fantastic set of callers. Don't forget, the one thing you need to do before you leave tonight is hit the like button for what was a fantastic show. Really great callers, and it's your community, it's your United standers calling in. They were absolutely fantastic. If you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe, because you've stumbled on what is a fantastic community we have on the United Stand. Everyone says it how it is. We're not scared to be critical because we love the club. That's what it's all about. Yeah, get involved. Back tomorrow night with Swansea watch along. I think they're kicking off at 7:45, so we'll be live at 7:45. I'm actually thinking of doing... I've just realised I've not done a Swansea preview. That's how little interest I've got in the League Cup. So that's naughty of me. So I'm thinking tomorrow lunchtime I might just do on my lunch break, just go live off my phone. Shall we say 1 o'clock tomorrow off my phone? I'll do a little preview for you, just to say that I've done one, because it's not good not to have done a preview. But I have to, I'd rather do the Skype show and talk about stuff that people are interested in than start talking about Swansea preview, which, to be honest, we'll watch it, but it's all about Spurs, isn't it? Tomorrow's about confidence for United. And I do it. I expect Mourinho will pick a strong team, which again is ridiculous. I mean, Matic cannot play tomorrow. Matic is playing too much football, and I think he's fatigued. And when you're fatigued, you're close to being injured. But I do think Mourinho will go with a strong squad because he wants to win it. Be interesting if Swansea put a decent team out. We're doing the watch along anyway. I'm looking forward to that. Thanks everybody. Speak to you all soon. Like. It'd be nice to hit 500 likes before I go off air, because the guys have been brilliant. You've all been brilliant on the live comments. My performance was mediocre, but no, it was very good. You got that little snippet at the end about why I love Mourinho, which a lot of people always ask. You now know. Somebody should take that little clip off and put it up for us, and then I could just play it every now and again. Thanks everyone. Speak to you all soon, and have a nice evening if you're off to watch The Walking Dead, which I am. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow lunchtime at 1 o'clock with the Swansea preview off my phone while I'm at work and I'm ringing out of air. Thanks very much for watching. Speak to you all very soon.